have nothing to say except that I desire a speedy trial, and I have no fear of its results before a nonpartisan court and jury. I've never had in the once threatened, nor have I now in the actual prosecution, but two things to fear, and they are the evil and corrupt influence that $100,000 can have in the prosecution of any case, and the political influence will be incident to these trials, that these are not small things to fear. Any sober-thinking man must confess, I am innocent of the charge preferred against me. I am willing for the public to know my entire connection with a very bitter strife in this campaign. When arrested, I was leaving what I thought would be careless persecution. How fully has been realized my fear that I should be tried by a partisan court and a jury composed of my political enemies, the following pages will show. To what extent my foreboding that the corrupt influence of $100,000 blood money and partisan political hatred would succeed in thwarting justice and thwarting wrong. The events which have followed plainly point out whether the prosecution against me has been causeless persecution, as I then predicted it would be. I will let those who peruse these pages judge for themselves. There is an excerpt from a book I've been reading, Mr. Pope.
Oh, I thought you were talking about yourself there for a while. It reminded me the last time I got a traffic citation,
I'm innocent.
The jury's purged against me, blood money here from the judge.
Yes. So I've been reading this book from an autobiography from a Kentuckian. And it's said he lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's kind of when this was written.
Turn of the century.
Yeah, turn of the century. And it's a very compelling book. But as you know, this, you may not know because I've not said it yet, but this character, this person, and I'll let you think of a pseudonym for him so I can refer to him without giving his name, because I don't want people going and searching and they'll be like, oh, I know, find out all the information. So think of a pseudonym there.
Well, what about, since it's kind of political, we call him Slick.
There you go. Well, that does fit.
Is that all right?
That fits the character, or fits the mode.
All right.
But anyway, he...
Sounds like some of our students, I didn't do that. Yeah. I'm innocent. I know you caught me red-handed.
3 or 4 people say, I saw him do it.
I saw him do it.
They're liars.
They're liars. They're all liars. Enemies of my peers.
This isn't partisan.
Yeah.
But anyway, he ends up in jail. And that's when he wrote this book.
Okay.
He wrote this book about himself and kind of how he ended up in jail. And there's more to the story, of course, but I want to kind of tell the story from his perspective.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of discuss kind of the other outlying factors and go from there.
That's interesting.
And kind of the way, whenever we talked about Mayo, we brought him up, and he's a good guy, he's a bad guy. We're gonna kind of talk about.
And this is a Kentuckian.
This guy's from Kentucky. Old Slick here was a boy of the mountains. Boy of the mountains. He was raised.
Come from your neighborhood.
Grew up in the eastern Kentucky. His father was Amos, who was the son of Jess. And Jess came from Virginia. But Amos was born in 1840 on Patterson Creek in Whitley County, Kentucky.
Okay, Whitley County.
There you have it. Now, his mother was Elizabeth.
Oh, Lord.
And she was the daughter of Thomas, who also came from Virginia. And she was born 20 miles from Patterson's Creek. So there you have it.
Came from Virginia. Why did people coming from Virginia settle in Whitley County? I mean, geez, Pete's.
There you go. Source of the...
What was there?
Whitley County, I don't know. Woods and mountains.
Woods and straight up and down mountains.
So,
God.
And interesting enough, old Jess Powers hit...
Probably the wagon broke down. Well, this is it. I've had it.
So interesting enough,
home sweet home.
Jess was killed in the Civil War fighting for the Union.
Okay,
as one of his grandfathers, and his other grandfather.
We expected that from Eastern Kentucky.
Thomas was also fought for the Union.
Yep.
And he actually held slaves, but liberated the slaves when he joined the Union Army. So
that's interesting
little fact.
Boy, he must have had a crisis.
Sorts. Throughout the time.
Kind of hard for him to fight for the Union and have slaves, but there were actually quite a few that did that in Kentucky.
Well, Kentucky was a divided state.
It really was. Well, it's a Union state. They were anti-secession but pro-slavery. Kentucky was the last state to give up their slaves. They even threatened to bring in martial law after the Civil War. It's about 1867, 1868. The legislature. They still say, "Oh, we want slavery, Civil War." Who cares who won?
And didn't they try to say it was because they weren't in the South or something like that? Was that kind of that we weren't part of the South? We were neutral. You can't take our slaves.
But Lincoln kind of promised him that anyway. If you'll stay in, he wasn't going to.
Oh, okay.
He only when the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves in the South, not in the North.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that. He only freed the slaves in the South, but not in the North. Abraham Lincoln, your boy.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on, Abe.
Come on, Abe. He didn't want to lose Kentucky.
That's what it was. That was the biggest thing.
Lose Kentucky, I'll lose the Civil War.
Yeah. So he said, whatever you want, boys.
Whatever you want, you Kentucky boys.
He was a smart politician.
He was. He liked his country ham. He did. He liked Kentucky country ham. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to do it.
There you go. Well, anyway, back to
not that we would ever get not deranged.
Yeah. So over the time, some of his families have sought political office, and if they did, not many of them. I'm just saying he wasn't like in this political powerhouse of a family.
Sheriff, something like that.
Some of them did, and they won, But most of his family did not receive an education, or what you would call a good education.
Can you imagine being sheriff of Whitley County?
during 1890 or 1860 or 70? Yeah. No, that'd be different, man. That'd be different. I don't even know what you would... how you would police
They probably didn't know either.
Yeah. But anyway.
Somebody stole my apples.
Go call the sheriff, right? Actually, we'll get to an interesting event that happens here in Slick here. But he was born on February 1st, 1869 on, of course, Patterson's Creek. His father was a farmer and devoted his life to educating his children. That was the one thing his father did not have. His father always wanted to be a lawyer. So at a young age, he began, teaching his kids, hoping that one day they would become a lawyer. Slick, of course, went to the public schools in Old Knox County, one old log house with one window and one door, the typical one-room school, if you would kind of picture in eastern Kentucky or in Kentucky in general, really.
Kept the students from daydreaming. There's no windows to look out.
One time, he came to school and he covered his face with pokeberry juice. You know what pokeberry juice is?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Explain it to
to the audience. Well, poke is an edible plant, and it has berries that look a lot like grapes, and it's a purple berry, and they used it in dyes in colonial America. They dyed their clothes with poke berries. They smashed them. It's kind of like grapes, only it was real strong, real purple, beautiful color.
I guess staining or
stained.
It was real. I guess like grape juice, like you said, grape juice.
Kind of stronger.
Yeah, but he covered his face in this pokeberry juice and walked into class. But his teacher persuaded him to go clean up his face with a beech limb.
He had mental problems.
That's early signs.
Bright and early. He wanted to be a lawyer. That fits too.
So he kind of got into a little bit of trouble when he was in school, but he was good at school. He was smart. So
I'm surprised he's not president.
You ever had any of those students that were very smart but yet caused a lot of trouble when they were just so smart? They kind of soaked it in.
Particularly, and we used to talk to him at recess. We'd go out there. I remember the first years of teaching, we'd go out and he'd miss his recess, and I'd listen to you. And I taught for years, but I'd listen to you talk to him like, "Why are you doing this? What do you think's going to happen here?" He was a real brilliant kid, really likable too. But he was just probably so bright, like so many people that he just didn't know what to do with himself, straighten out.
Yeah.
But he was a good kid and bright, but just mischievous as he could be. And you'd try to reason with him. I remember that, which was a wonderful thing. Yeah. I'm glad you did that. You're a great teacher.
That's what we got to do with everybody, is try to reason with them.
All right. Put the gun down. I've got a family. I don't want to die today.
It doesn't end with childhood.
This is Crab Orchard.
It does not end with childhood.
No, it only gets worse.
So while he was young, he had met a girl that he walked to school with every day.
There's always a girl,
and she often boasted about how much she loved him and all this. And he had the same feelings. But he had intentions of marrying this girl, but his father wanted to move over towards the Brush Creek area in Woodley County.
Brush Creek.
Yeah, old Brush Creek. There's about a Brush Creek, I'd say, about every
county. And it's always generally speaking, they named it well.
So he eventually, though, he had the desire, though, to go back to meet this girl again. And it, though, took him a little time. He was still young, so he had to wait a few years before he could go back and kind of rekindle this relationship. But when he got there and he actually finally got back to see her, they had all grown up, and he realized that, their love wasn't there no more. The 2 years had separated them.
Brush Creek.
And
he probably hadn't seen a lot of women either. Just some cows or something.
So the love was not there.
Sheep.
And he's met her at church. And I'll bring this up because this is.
Oh yeah, of course. Those church girls are the best.
They were at church and he talked to her, and then they went their separate ways. That's it. But the love was not there. He was left there
very
alone
reasonable.
at the church.
Very, very bright.
But bring it up. The church was an old regular Baptist.
Oh gosh.
Do you know what an old regular Baptist is?
Yes, I got an idea.
Oh well, I don't know that much, but I have attended. And nothing.
You're a Baptist, aren't you? Or
No.
Okay,
Easy.
Whoa! Sorry, I thought you were.
Didn't want to be so quick on that.
Yeah, you were real quick on that.
My wife, my father-in-law, they in Hazard there. Well, not a practicing one.
Yeah, okay.
He doesn't go to church regularly,
Right,
I guess I should say. But there's an old regular Baptist right up on the mountain where they went to, where they would go, like every Father's Day, they would have a meeting. And if you go to an old regular Baptist, this is no offense.
Let's just say let's just say they don't, condone drinking and being crazy.
Well, the thing that draws me about the most is just the preaching. Like they have a unique style of preaching. It's that I don't even know how to imitate it, but it's just that constant speaking. It's like they just hardly even taking a breath, and like they preached for hours.
Past Sunday dinner.
Yeah, and like I went there a few times with my wife and her family, my father-in-law, and all them, and we would go up there. And it's like you would just go in for like 30 minutes, and you get up and go back to his house, take a break, come back a little later, and it was just a different experience.
All right,
and you got these guys up there.
I quit. I give in.
You're right. I've sinned enough today.
I've sinned. I am a sinner.
But it was just a different. If you ever been or get the opportunity to go to an old regular Baptist, there's not a lot anymore. There's not a lot.
No.
I would recommend just going for the experience. It's just different.
Straighten you up a little bit. So. Probably the world needs that.
So, old Slick here, he worked on the farm until he was about 15. He was pretty well rounded in education, like we said before. His father taught him well as far as even being without education. His father
That's a cow. There's a sheep. Now we're going to have a quiz in 10 minutes.
That's 2 cows.
2 cows, 12 sheep.
When that cow has a baby calf, there'll be 3.
There'll be 3. Now we're going to have a quiz on this.
But he goes to the big college of Union College in Barberville, there, when he turned 16.
Place. Yep.
He lived in the country for most of his life, so when he...
Right, some of our teachers went to Barberville, and their children did too, and they graduated from the education school there.
Yeah, and I don't exactly know. I probably should have looked this up, I guess, but I don't know when exactly...
You go through it on the way to Pine Mountain.
Yeah, when Union College was founded, but obviously it's one of the older schools in
Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, in Eastern Kentucky, definitely. But he had lived his whole life in the country, so he comes to the city. You call this the city of Big Barberville. And he noticed instantly that he was different. Even that time, you think of it as a town, and you have people living in a town, but yet somebody in the country.
He must have been a real freak. This is really an interesting story.
It is.
So he came to Barberville, and he knew he was different from other people.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the first things he kind of realized. And I would doubt that their dialect or. Is that different?
No.
But, I wouldn't. No. But yeah, clothes.
Unless he spoke French or something. German.
His clothes were probably different. He just wasn't as, I guess is
Probably
fancy.
socially inept.
Yeah, and which brings us to which makes his story so, I guess, unique in a way. But anyway, so he ended up boarding at somebody's house and living there. You think if I was in Whitley County, I don't think I would have to board anywhere to go to Barberville. But again, this is 130 years ago, 40 years ago. Wait, hold on. No, my math is way off. About 150 years ago. Yeah. He lives with a few students. He has he boards up and is kind of initiated into the college life.
Was it co-ed?
No.
Dorms? All right, go ahead.
No, it was just somebody's house. I mean, he's just living in somebody's house. Yeah. But they actually take him to...
I did that in college.
That's what you were doing?
On the other side, there was like...
Was it optional co-ed?
It was optional. It was optional co-ed, man.
Yeah. Oh. And people talk about teenagers these days.
Oh, I know. Sorry, people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But they actually take him. They introduce him.
I'm getting a very clear picture of Slick here.
They end up taking him to the president of the school's house when they're like kind of meeting him, and taking him around and getting acquainted with the college life.
And let me guess, the president's either going to say he's an idiot or he's a genius. One or the other. Let's see what happens.
So the president,
I like to predict,
took up well with him, and he showed him the books.
Yep.
Slick here showed him the books. These are the books I've been using in school, my previous school. And the president said that he'd have to get some new books.
Oh, okay.
And that this was a moment that kind of struck Slick as an infringement of his rights.
Wow.
That he would have to go get new books and had to pay for new books.
Actually do what the teacher says. It sounds like Whitley County.
So he went to his first class and was looked down upon by his dress and so forth. He quotes him saying, society punishes not those who sin, but those who fail to conceal it. And my sin was apparent, for I was counterfeited beyond concealment.
Huh.
Saying that his appearance was his sin and he couldn't control it, I guess is what he's saying. But
so people were picking on him because of the way he looked?
Yeah, people picking on him. Ain't right, he's just a country boy.
Golly.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so he joined the Literary Society.
There you go.
And this is where things which you can think about entertainment, which I guess that it's not too crazy. So he joined the Literary Society, and they have debates in this Literary Society, and that's what he kind of got into. But they were having like a private debate, but they were going to have a public debate, which for all the town to come and see. So you think about this back in this time. For entertainment, the town was going to get together and listen to some college people or the college students debate, which to me, of course, sounds kind of like a unique or weird.
Right, but that was real popular back then. That was the entertainment, the Chautauqua type thing.
Yeah, and I when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, but we still watch debates today.
Right.
I mean, mainly presidential debates. Not too many people watch any other debates.
Let me just interject something about Whitley County. Williamsburg's the county seat, and Corbin is the largest town, I believe.
Yes.
And my roommate, my first year of college, was from Corbin, from Whitley County.
Yeah. Oh.
And I thought he spoke a different language. He was the strangest guy I ever met. And it just brings us back to mine.
Yeah.
I never saw him studying. All he wanted to do was go out and catch catfish. I mean, he'd skip class and go out to the city reservoir and lay out all night, drinking beer and fishing, And I tried to coach him,
And
that was unbelievable. I could tell stories on him. Man, he was a strange dude. I thought I was back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Sounds like they're kin.
Buddy there.
They may be kin.
Which Knox County is also where Barberville is, right?
Yes.
Knox County. Which Knox and Whitley are side by side.
Yes, side by side.
Yeah.
That Brush Creek area.
Yeah. you get what
I get it. Before there were roads.
So
just mule trails.
They kind of, I wouldn't say weaseled him into being part of this public debate. So he was going to have to debate in front of everybody.
This is fantastic.
Right after he's gotten to this new school, this new town, and in college. He's 16 years old. He's different.
He's different. Probably looks different, acts different, speaks different.
But he couldn't back out. And
up against a wall.
He was up against a wall. But here was the debate topic, and this is
sounds like the president set him up.
I like you, good boy. You don't need to get you some new books.
We'll entertain him. Yeah.
But the debate was Christopher Columbus is entitled to more credit for his discovering of America than George Washington is given for defending America.
Oh boy,
that
that's
was
great.
a very kind of deep.
Boy, it was deep.
Topic, and they're talking about crowd. Ooh.
Yeah.
So the House
Christopher Columbus didn't even know he was in America.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go on from there.
we could start that debate right now.
We can start it right now.
But the House was crowded. The place was packed. Full of
bet.
His opponent was Mr. S.A.D. Jones. That's all I know. There was a lot of women in the crowd.
Oh, gosh.
And
fired up
that got him. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Chairman is how they always would start. And that's how he started. I think he was so nervous he kept on repeating it. He would say, "Ladies and gentlemen."
That's as far as he got.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
And he'd do it over and over again.
And he couldn't get on with it. Couldn't get out of gear.
No, he was terrible. He was terrible at the debate. He was so bad.
He couldn't get past
his
ladies
notes
and
were messed up. He couldn't get anything going.
Probably couldn't read or write.
His hands were all over the place.
Oh, gosh.
But he actually crushed his notes at one point. He had actually accidentally
walled them up.
Yeah. He's tongue-tied. He repeated again, "Ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah.
But at the end, his audience did clap for him and show
he gave
some
it the old
respect,
college try, as they say.
Yeah. So he then
Brush Creek versus
Barberville, I guess. Yeah. So it was a terrible.
He probably started talking about cows and sheep.
But
I can tell you about that.
George Washington had some cows.
He had some cows.
So his whole thing, though, it went terribly, and he fumbled around. But this would be one of those moments that you kind of look back on, and he feels like changed his life as far as
I'm sure.
his embarrassment.
Oh, gosh.
His terrible time
of
it straightened him up, and he became a really good speaker.
Wow.
Like he worked on it, he practiced, and he became a good speaker. So he went on.
My life's kind of like that.
They keep on making a mistake and then get right in the ship. But he did. He ended up having a really successful college career. He returned home with his father, and would find a way to pay for his college on his own. He worked his way through college, all that stuff. And especially at this time, it wasn't, there wasn't student loans or anything else he could get.
You know when I told you I lived in that co-ed house?
Yeah.
Well, I became a terrible student. Believe it or not. This guy from Brush Creek taught me well because I would frequently go catfishing too, and when I had class, and did a few other things at night as well, curricular activities. And let me tell you what happened to me. I became interested in agriculture journalism.
Wow. Okay.
And I applied to go to the University of Wisconsin that had the best journalism school. I was kind of talented as a writer, and even though I was flunking out of school. And they sent me a letter, and it said that they would not accept me, that I was a mediocre student and even below mediocre, and that their school, quote unquote, I've still got the letter somewhere, does not accept mediocre people.
Wow.
That's what they told me. The dean wrote me a letter. He said, "You're such an idiot." I mean, he must have thought I was from Brush Creek or somewhere. And he just said, "You're a total idiot." And we don't have idiots here.
Ran your name through the dirt.
And it shocked me. I mean, it shocked me so bad that I changed my life. At that moment.
That was one of those
I straightened up, I sobered up, and, I went on and made a 4-point for the rest of my college career.
Wow.
I went from like a 1.2 to a 4-point. But it was that letter that said that I was mediocre. And I said, "Boy, I'm fighting mad. I'm fighting mad. I'm ready to spar."
Sometimes those failures lead to our successes.
Boy, it did.
Oh,
so I understand Slick here.
Yeah.
Everybody laughing at him.
So he wants to go, and he goes back and he teaches school for a while, as tends to be, I guess, a lot of people in that day go teach school.
I've been educated. I went to Barberville.
I went to Barberville for a week or two.
For a week or two.
But he has a different style of teaching. He taught with sympathy and love.
Good,
because he thought that sympathy and love taught better than strictness and,
you're an idiot.
Fear.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's been kind of our motto. We've talked about that before, about with children, that education is a profession of love. To be a really good teacher, you got to love each individual and not just group them together and all like that.
Yeah.
Care about them, man.
Yep.
They're not just chairs, or desks or tile on the floor.
The people.
I mean, wake up, America. Wake up, Kentucky.
So,
but they never said that at teacher school.
No, they don't tell you that.
They don't tell you that. No, they kind of left that out.
He has another big debate. He gets back into it. He has a big debate, and the debate topic this time, and this one is,
I love these topics.
They're very good topics. I mean, I think about having one of these in school, in the classroom.
Which are better, cows or sheep?
Yeah. So the debate topic: the Earth is round, and the sun is stationary. That was the debate topic. So,
So they're debating science, kind of.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
It ain't round. It's flat.
I've seen it.
And I seen the sun moving across the sky. You're crazy. Anybody knows that? You moron.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like my son, he asks a lot of questions, of course, but he asked about the sun, the moon, the earth.
Yeah.
And I try to, the sun's right here, man. We're coming around.
Yeah, we're coming around.
I mean, for him to be 5, almost 6, he's really like
Wow,
it's
that's
a big
pretty
concept.
heavy.
It's a big concept to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It still is for me.
Yeah. So for this big debate, advertising was done. Some people held that the earth had 4 corners, and that the Bible supported this. A huge crowd showed up and to hear the unholy discussion. You know, that was kind of the thing.
Even
question the Bible. The Bible was like those 4 corners, and that's what they kind of based their debate on.
Yeah.
But he was debating against 2 preachers, and when the preachers got their request to pray, or when they showed up, they request to pray, and he knew that he was having a big argument because these preachers, of course, are going to pray, so that's going to sway the minds to say, okay, this is a religious debate, not a science debate, I guess.
Right.
So while they were praying, they were putting down the other people's arguments with that, but he wanted the whole audience to vote on the winner, but instead they announced that there'd be 3 judges. So I guess in these debates, it could be like who says these people are the winners, yay or nay.
Right.
But in this sense, there ended up being 3 judges that would be at the end. He had improved his public speaking a lot, and people said that he was the better speaker at that event, even though in the end the judges granted the others victory.
Sure.
Probably a bit biased, I would say.
Yeah,
probably. But his girlfriend at the time, he had found a girlfriend, said that he'd done a real good job too.
There you go. I'd stick with her. Yeah.
So we can wrap this up here, this part of Slick's life. We would talk, I guess, this is his early days. Days of...
Now, for the audience out there, this guy's name's not really Slick.
Yeah.
We're telling you the background of someone that you may, if you know Kentucky history, you may know this guy.
And what the point I want to make is...
wanting you to think about it and guess. If you...
Yeah, and I don't want to say this person's name, because then if I say this person's name...
ruin the whole thing.
And what he's known for, you're going to have that instant no or judgment. Instant judgment of, this guy's out. Because he did...
This is really brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just telling you, this is brilliant.
Because he wrote this in jail. He wrote this whole autobiography.
You could do a whole series on this.
The twist at the end.
Gosh.
It's good.
I'm so excited. I'm on the end. See, he hasn't told me either. So I don't know who we're talking about. I'm just backup.
So we'll keep on. I mean, he has a pretty successful or interesting life. I'll say it that way. I won't do too much, but we'll talk a bit more about him next time we get together, and we'll get into old Slick's life and see where his life
I'm
takes him.
so excited. Gosh, I'm so excited. Can't stand it.
We are recording this before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So have a good Thanksgiving, even though when you hear this, it'll be after Thanksgiving. So
actually, I'm going down to Whitley County.
Oh,
I'm passing through it right now. As soon as we leave, I'll be going through Williamsburg. I'm going to North Carolina.
There you go.
So I'll be going down there. Got my dog with me. Yeah. We may stop and let him out of the car.
Pee on a hydrant or something.
Pee on a hydrant down there in Corbin.
All right. So thanks again for listening.
Yes,
we will continue
as always.
This next week. We really appreciate it. We are very thankful for those who listen and share out the podcast and let us know what you think. We'll see you next time.
All right. Sounds good, man.